Russia's 155th Separate Marine Brigade, which is participating in the aggression against Ukraine, is on the verge of open mutiny. The military refuses to follow orders. The situation is extremely dangerous for Moscow. This was reported by the Z resource, Northern Channel, associated with Russian military structures. The reason for the destabilization was the destruction by Ukraine of the brigade's command staff and the appointment of the Bucha Sukhrab Akhmedov as its new commander, when the occupiers consider a direct threat to their lives. After the death of 155th Command Post and the same Gudkov, everything, if not collapsed, is gradually turning into chaos, the channel's report says. According to his information, after the headquarters was liquidated, mass refusals to carry out orders began. The fighters, including former members of the Wagner PMC, are openly rebelling. The Kremlin took tough measures. It sent the Bucha Akhmedov to suppress them. The latter has already given the order to zero out the so-called refuseniks. This only increased the tension. Akhmedov has a reputation as a brutal and incompetent commander. Soldiers of the 155th Brigade recall his experience in the 20th Army, where he showed himself to be a man willing to send soldiers into battle without any preparation and with obviously losing plans. The instinct for self-preservation says that following the orders of such a commander is a step towards inevitable death, the channel's sources emphasize. The situation is close to open armed conflict within the unit. The channel itself warns, just a little bit more and instead of a fighting brigade, we will get disintegration and a riot with weapons in hand. Let us recall that the attack on the headquarters of the 155th Brigade of the Russian Armed Forces was carried out on July the 2nd. Almost the entire command staff of the unit was eliminated, including Major General Deputy Commander of the Russian Navy Mikhail Gudkov and his right hand, Colonel Nariman Shikhaliev. This event became one of the most painful losses for the Russian fleet in recent times and completely disorganized the command and control in the front section.
Europe's continuing heat wave on Wednesday helped fuel a virulent wildfire in a Catalonian national park that has burned over 20,000 acres in the last 24 hours. According to Associated Press, the worst-hit area is between the villages of Pals and Alfara de Carles in the Tarragona province of Catalonia. 6 villages have been ordered to keep residents indoors as strong winds are expected to whip up the flames. The Catalan government has requested assistance from the Emergency Military Unit, the Spanish military's rapid response force, according to local reports. After Spain set a record for June air temperatures, the European Centre for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts said that it was closely monitoring the abnormally hot temperatures. Weather experts link the heat wave to climate change.
Delta 0 de punt de trànsit, canvi. Veig que tenia al voltant d'això, sigues aïllades a les afores del Dover.
Si vols arrencar?
Vale, d'acord, rebut. També us demano que enseguida que posem els vehicles d'aigua aquí, sisplau. D'acord, rebut. Carretera de Xerta a Pauix. Desplaçarem tots els vehicles a cua, treballarem de manera segura. No he pogut evitar que els... S'ha hecho el camino que nos vayamos para Cuba. Venga, venga.
Paradera, los que han d'anar a la carretera de Pauls, directe a Pauls, al quilòmetre 4, que també seria
És a dir, l'únic problema que podem tenir són les granges.
Russian security forces have sharply increased checks of trucks on the roads following Ukraine's unprecedented attack on Russian strategic aviation airfields on Sunday, the Moscow Times says. In Siberia, mass inspections of trucks have begun at stationary and mobile traffic police posts, and throughout Russia, inspections of trucks with Chelyabinsk license plates have begun, sources in the logistics market told the Moscow Times. According to a representative of a trucking company, traffic police officers are opening trucks, even those sealed with customs seals, which is why documents have to be reissued. Checks are being carried out, in particular, in the Chelyabinsk and Irkutsk regions, say logisticians. Yesterday, one of our drivers stood at 3 posts for a total of 10 hours, and no one cared that he had already been checked, complains a manager of a transport company. The drones that the Ukrainian armed forces used to strike air bases in 4 Russian regions were, according to investigators, stored in a warehouse in Chelyabinsk, where they could have been delivered from China via the border with Kazakhstan. They were delivered to the airfields in trucks with Chelyabinsk license plates. Artem Timofeev, a 37-year-old resident of the Chelyabinsk region who registered an individual entrepreneur for cargo transportation last year, was put on the wanted list on suspicion of organizing the sabotage. As logisticians reported, literally the next day after the attack on the airfields, cargo control was tightened at land border checkpoints with China and Mongolia. Our sources at customs and law enforcement agencies say that the increased control will continue for at least a month, and maybe forever, fears an employee of a large transport company. Operation Spiderweb was in the works for more than a year and a half. The SBU secretly smuggled small quadcopter drones into Russia, Ukrainian intelligence officials told the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times. Wooden containers were then smuggled into the area, where the drones were placed before the attack. When the time came to strike, the containers were loaded onto trucks to get them closer to the airfields. The lids of the containers were then opened remotely, and the drones flew out to strike their targets. Ukrainian journalist Denis Kazansky said, "There are huge traffic jams on the highways, every truck is being stopped and searched. It's a logistical collapse." He added, "These efforts are pointless, they've realized the threat too late. It's just a show of force and an attempt to look busy." In reality, Russia's security services are now helping Ukraine by deepening the economic fallout of the attacks.